Welcome to Advisor Transition Architecture, Episode 2. Today we're going to talk about fun stuff. How do you grow your wealth management pipeline of opportunities? And that would be through your activities and your building familiarity. And how do you do that? We're going to get into that in detail here. So, first of all, your activities. Let's start with a formula called A times E equals R. How many of you know what that would mean? I'll tell you. A equals your activities times E equals your effectiveness at those activities equals your results. So activities times effectiveness equals your results. What does that mean? That means, in very plain English, you can't do everything and expect to be effective at everything. So the takeaway is do a few things and do them really, really well. And you'll see the results follow. So let's put that in terms of a math equation. So let's say you could do any amount of activities from one activity up to 10 activities in any given week. So let's say I'm really scrambling. I'm going to do them all. I'm going to do 10 things. But because I'm doing all 10, I can only be on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really effective, 1 being not effective really at all, but busy. I'm going to say I'm a 3. So I'm doing 10 things times 3 effectiveness equals 30. 10 times 3 equals 30. 10 activities at a 3 effectiveness each is 30. Now, let's change this up a little bit and say I'm going to do 4 activities, but I'm going to be in 9 at each of those. So I'm going to do 4 things at 9 effectiveness each. 9 times 4 is 36. I'll take 36 over 30 anytime, and I'm doing 4 things instead of 10. I'm much more calm instead of frantic, doing fewer things but better. I'm paying attention to the details. Things are not slipping through the cracks. It's a big deal. It makes an enormous difference. And what does it mean to your pipeline? What it means to your pipeline is to the extent that what you do or you don't do today and what you don't do or what you do that's effective today shows up in 90 days. So let's play it out. If you are trying to do a lot and trying to do everything, but really not that effective at it, it's busy work, and it's going to show up in 90 days as not that much. You weren't able to plant any effective seeds, right? There's nothing really to harvest because you were too stretched too thin. Now, on the other hand, if you take the time and plant the seeds effectively, but fewer of them, but much better, take much better care of them, they will produce a harvest for you in 90 days or 120 days. What I'd also like to do is ask you to look back 90 days ago. Look back in the winter, look back at the end of the year, the fourth quarter, and say, what was I doing then that's now showing up today? Was it you were preparing for an event that paid off really well? You were pursuing 2 or 3 prospects that have actually shown up, delivered for you? Or were you tied up on something that was straining your attention, straining your time, and you weren't able to get done what you wanted to, and now you're suffering as a result? So I do know for sure there's 100% correlation between where you are today and what you did 90 to 120 days ago. Whether it's your diet, whether it's your workload, your work ethic, your habits, it's all related. It's all related. So think of your pipeline in 90 to 120 day chunks, and what you do today or what you don't do today will show up later. I also want to talk to you about this idea of building familiarity. So building familiarity is something we all strive to do with our high net worth and with our ultra high net worth prospects for sure, but it could be with anybody. And what I mean by that is, I used to think in terms of a sales funnel, in that I'd put names into the top, work them through, and get results out of the bottom. Well, it doesn't really work like that anymore. With your digital footprint, with your social media, people have the chance to become familiar with you long before they ever agree to meet. And so, what I'd like you to think about is aligning the messaging on your website, your personal posts, thought leadership you put out, emails, texts, anything that has to do with your digital footprint, your LinkedIn profile, for example, your Substack, for example, anything you put out on social media or anything you put out on digital that has your digital footprint, it's got to be aligned, because what will happen is you want to be at the point where you are referring people to your LinkedIn or your website with confidence to know that A, they're going to be able to understand you and understand your points of view and the way you think and the way what it'll be like to work with you on those sites, but also that it'll trigger more curiosity for them to explore the other parts, right? If you send them to your website, would they also then be triggered to want to explore your LinkedIn, for example? Or if you sent them your LinkedIn, would they be curious to then check out your website? And if they do, are all those messages and stories and colors and fonts even, are they all aligned? Are the photos aligned? Do they get a similar look and feel? Because what I'll stress to you is, in this day and age of everybody's connected, everybody sees what everybody else is doing, everybody has a digital footprint. What I would encourage you to do is make sure yours is better than most, and encourage your COIs, your prospects, and your clients to go there themselves and just see what happens. I mean, people will be genuinely curious. They'll want to know what you think about this. They'll want to know what you think about that. They'll want to know what your firm put out on this. And if your stuff drives people to this familiarity loop, it should be a fulfilling in a virtuous cycle of kind of constant curiosity about what you're putting out and who you are and how you think. And if you do this right, this will be a nice machine for you to generate referrals. Wouldn't it be nice if your referral generation partnerships referred people to your website or to your posts that were really well done, and they're actually driving people to want to reach out to you, right? People can refer. You might, have a client who might say, you know what, they liked a post of yours, and then curiosity, someone says to them, I saw you like this post. I kind of thought it was interesting too. Can you introduce me? Yeah, here you go. Here's their LinkedIn. Here's their website. You should check them out. He or she is really good. So the digital footprint, the familiarity loop, is what works for you 24/7, and will produce things that you're not even aware of. Just build it carefully and cautiously with thought in mind. So with that, thank you. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back again with another episode soon. Thanks.